Hello, I am Abhishek Goswami. I am here to present a research work I did as my master thesis under the guidance of Christopher Kebschull and Robert Stroebel from Okapi Orbits, Germany, and Dr. Carsten Scharlemann from University of Applied Science, Wiener, Neustadt, Austria. The topic of presentation is collision avoidance assessment for CubeSat with propulsive capabilities. In today's presentation, first I'll talk about the necessity of developing the collision avoidance strategies, then the climb mission, the whole scenario, then the population estimation in the climb's orbit. Then I'll talk about initial collision avoidance assessment and some theoretical values. Then we'll talk about the development of operational collision avoidance strategies. Then a detailed congestion assessment and avoidance planning. And the last, the conclusion. The need for developing strategies for collision avoidance comes from the number of debris in space, which has increased exponentially in the past decade, and as seen in the figure is expected to rise even further. To have a safe flight through these orbits, collision avoidance is necessary. And with the recent developments in electric propulsion system, CubeSats have an option to perform collision avoidance maneuvers. Hence, the idea is to develop strategies which can be used for collision avoidance. CLIMB is a 3U CubeSat and is the second CubeSat being developed at University of Applied Science, Wiener, Neustadt. The main objective of the CLIMB mission is to estimate the impact of space radiation on commercial off-the-shelf elements. In very basic, the whole mission is around 2.5 to 3 years and can be divided into 4 phases. The first phase is the launch into the orbit and commissioning. The second phase will be to raise the orbit from a 500 kilometer to a 1000 kilometer orbit. The third phase is the scientific phase where we are taking radiation measurements in a Van belt, and the last phase will be deorbiting. For this evaluation, we are considering only the second phase, that is the orbit raising phase of the mission. So we have an initial orbit, which is a circular orbit at 500 kilometer altitude, and we are expected to be launched directly into this orbit. From there, the idea is to raise the orbit to an elliptical orbit with 500 kilometer perigee altitude and 1000 kilometer apogee altitude, which places the satellite in inner Van belt where the scientific mission can take place. Unlike general orbit raising using electric propulsion where the thruster is fired continuously, the idea with CLIMB is to fire thruster only at every perigee in order to conserve power. The main orbit drivers considered in this evaluation are the available power, the data collection by the payload, and the collision avoidance. The workflow of the evaluation looks like this. Initially, we have a mission definition from which we derive the orbit raising parameters. After deriving the orbit raising parameters, the first idea is to have a population estimation. What kind of population are we looking into? Then with the population estimation done, we can look into the inclination assessment and how it affects the collision avoidance. Then we have the initial collision assessment. Then we move on to develop the collision avoidance strategies. We perform an orbit raising, perform a conjunction assessment. Then we can plan the avoidance strategies which will lead up to the final orbit for the climb. As I said, the first step is to have an estimation of the population. For this, we use the ESA's master tool. With this, an estimation of population around the climb during orbit raising is evaluated. And for this evaluation, the orbit was segmented into span of 3 months. And the scenario is evaluated at different inclination. And as seen as in the figure, the maximum number of objects are 6,180, which occur at an 85-degree inclination. And this is expected. The more number of objects are expected at higher inclination angles. This population was then evaluated based on the size of the objects. And as we can see, the most of the object lies in micrometer in size. This result also provides an important result to the contribution towards the collision avoidance, as we can see that the objects are so small that they do not affect any strategy development for collision avoidance, and it can be ignored. The next step is to define a theoretical value for collision assessment. For this evaluation, ESA's drama tool is used. The orbit is segmented to raise by 8 kilometers in every 10 days. The scenario runs for 1 year at each segment, and then the weighted average is taken to define an overall annual collision probability level for the whole mission. The results can be seen in the figure here. According to industrial standard, 1 in 10,000 is considered as a safe collision probability level. And from here we can see that this will yield to a required number of maneuvers as 0.02 for the climb mission. Thus, it can be said that the satellite will be safe without performing any maneuvers. However, both of these evaluations do not consider a screening volume, which is a big part of the congestion assessment. Both the current assessment just use the satellite cross-section as the area considered. From the initial assessment, we can see that there is no need of having a collision avoidance maneuver for the climb mission to be considered safe. However, this did not include a screening volume, which is a big part of congestion assessment. Thus, the next step is to develop collision avoidance strategies in case we find a dangerous event during a detailed investigation. In order to develop the strategies, the study uses a congestion data message which is received regularly for the university's first satellite Pegasus. The data obtained from CDM exhibits a miss event between Pegasus and a rocket body with a miss distance of 62 meters at the time of closest approach. The two strategies which are being used for collision avoidance are, first, by using thrust maneuver, second, by changing the drag area. The strategy involving the thrust maneuver also include the thrust uncertainty in the thrust vector. The uncertainties which are considered here are plus 5% in the magnitude of nominal thrust, minus 5% in the magnitude of thrust, 3-degree variation in the thrust direction, and 6-degree variation in the thrust direction. The thruster used by climb satellite is IFM FEEP multi-emitter. The thruster is developed by university's research partner Photec and now commercially sold as by Impulsion GmbH. The thruster has a wet mass of 900 grams and a dimension of 1 U CubeSat. And as seen in the figure, if a power of 40 watt is generated by the satellite, the thruster can develop up to 350 micronewtons of thrust at a specific impulse of 4000 seconds. In order to assess the strategy, state vectors from both the target and the risk objects are extracted from the CDM data and the miss distance is calculated. And then the state vectors of the target object, in this case the climb, is propagated backwards to a set number of orbits, and a thrust maneuver is used at that point, and then the satellite is propagated forward at the time of closest approach and the new miss distance is calculated. For the propagation, the Neptune software is used, which is developed by Okapi GmbH. And as seen in the figure, a maximum of nearly 14 km change can be achieved if the thruster is operated before 16 orbital revolution, that is nearly a day ahead of TCA. However, due to uncertainties, there is a variation of around 2 kilometers. But as seen with the object sizes in the initial assessment, it can be easily said that any collision can be avoided by using thrust maneuvers for the climb mission. A similar approach is used for the assessment of second strategy, that is to change the drag area for collision avoidance. In this case, after the satellite is propagated backwards, the drag area of the satellite is changed and the satellite is then propagated forward to TCA. As we know, increases or decreasing the drag will either result in either moving the satellite faster or slower through space. And in the figure, we can see that a nearly 16 km change in miss distance can be achieved if the drag area is changed 4 days ahead of TCA. A further assessment of change in the miss distance is carried here, and the new miss distance is now being separated into 3 components, that is the radial, along track and cross-track separations around the satellite. And as we can see in the figure, if the change in drag area strategy is used, the most of change in the miss distance comes from the separation in a long track direction, which is expected since the satellite is either moving fast or slow depending on if we are using the maximum or the minimum area, and there is nearly negligible change in the radial and cross-track directions. Thus, a new result is very important here, that if the required change to avoid a collision is in a long track direction, we can use the drag area strategy. If the required change is either in radial or cross-track direction, we need to use the thrust maneuver. Using the drag change strategy will not work. And from the CDM data which we considered, we can see what kind of miss distance we need to achieve what probability level, and it can be seen that to achieve the industrial standard, that is 1 in 10,000, a mere 67 meter of miss distance is required. Thus, we can easily say that both of the strategies can be easily used to avoid such an event. After developing the strategies for collision avoidance and assessing them that they can actually work using the exemplary CDM, the next step is to perform a detailed congestion assessment. The congestion assessment uses C's algorithm for identification of congestion events and a screening volume of 51 km cross 51 km cross 51 km is used for initial screening. The total number of identified congestion events in this screening volume is 71,792. And in the figure, we can see the distribution of congestion events based on semi-major axis during the orbit raising. And it is seen that the majority of congestion events occur at altitudes between 700 to 900 km altitude, which is expected as these are the most populated orbits in LEO. The next step is to filter the data for the screening volumes defined by 18 space controls coordinate. There are two screening volumes defined by 18 SPCs. First one is LEO basic screening volume of size 1 km cross 1 km cross 1 km. The basic screening volume is defined for satellites with no propulsive capabilities, and the number of identified congestion events in this screening volumes are 50. The second screening volume is LEO advanced, which is of size 2 km cross 44 km cross 51 km. This screening volume is defined for satellite with propulsive capabilities, and the total number of identified congestion events in this screening volume are 3,984. We can also see the top 5 closest approaches here, and the closest one with a missed distance of 69 meters. And from the semi-major axis, you can see that all of these closest approach occur within altitudes of around 700 to 900 meters. After identifying the congestion events, the next step is to assess those events for danger. However, in order to calculate the collision probability level for any such event, covariance data is necessary. The covariance data is a matrix of uncertainties in position and velocity vectors of the satellite, and it is available only after the satellite is launched into the space. Thus, the collision probability level of any of these events cannot be calculated. The next step is to assess these events based on the missed distance, and as we saw, there is no single event which needs to be avoided based on the missed distance for the climb. However, this can change in future when the satellite is launched and the covariance data is available. The collision probability level can be calculated, and there can be wind which needs to be avoided. Thus, the idea is to develop a plan in order to avoid the events even from occurring into the screening volume. This is called as a long-term approach. In the long-term approach, a set number of events are avoided from the screening volume in order to not get a warning at all. It is different from a short-term approach where you use a thrust maneuver or a track change maneuver in order to avoid a single event. So as you can see here, we have a day-spread distribution of conjunctions for the climb mission, and we can see that in early mission, the events are far from each other. However, later into the time, the events are pretty much occurring within few days. So we have 2 or 3 different plans. First one is a single day plan. This can be used to avoid a single conjunction event which occurs on one day with no other events in nearby days. This is where we use a short-term approach. The next plan is for 2 or 3 days. This can be avoided to use multiple conjunctions which are occurring within a 2-3 days for a small interval. However, when we use a thrust maneuver to avoid the first event, the orbit changes and the second and third event may or may not occur. That needs to be re-evaluated, and then the planning has to be done again how to avoid them. A similar case is for a long term, which say 5 to 7 days of a plan. This is rather important for satellite when it is down. So during a period where you cannot fire a thruster, you can plan in advance to basically either change an area or use higher thrust for in the early days in order to have a better results and do not have any congestion events for a long time, say for 5 to 7 days. Critical ACPL for the climb is 3.38 into 10 raised to power minus 5, which is far below the industrial level, and the number of required maneuvers to achieve the industrial standard, that is 1 in 10,000, is 0.02, which leads to a conclusion of that climb is theoretically safe during the orbit raising. And no potential danger event is also identified during the congestion assessment. The 2 strategies which are developed for the climb can be used for any CubeSat electric propulsion, but with a proper planning. That is, if the changing in drag area strategy is used, it can be used only to avoid the events from basic screening volume, or if the separation is required in a long straight direction. Similarly, if the thrust maneuver is used to avoid conjunction event, it can be used to remove an event from a advanced screening volume, or if the separation is required in cross-track or radial direction. Thus, in all, the final word is an IFM feed thruster can be sustainably used for orbit raising as well as collision avoidance for CubeSats. Thank you.